Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Intuitive Queens podcast. I am your host, Mara Marchesi, aka the Intuition Queen. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. And if you've been listening and watching this for a long time, thank you for coming back. So, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am an intuitive and creative coach, a healer, psychic, and obviously a podcaster. And I'm really passionate to help people, entrepreneurs, and creative people to release any kind of blockages, fears, limitations, anything that stops them from being their true self. And I do that helping you to connect to your intuition, because I really think that trusting yourself is the most powerful thing and tool that we have, because nobody can stop us when we are able to trust our decisions and ourselves and what our soul wants us to do. And in doing that, we often come across a lot of obstacles that could be fears, could be limiting beliefs, could be subconscious situations that we don't even know about. And sometimes we feel stuck, we feel like we cannot move to the next level, and we don't really know why. And it doesn't matter if you're very successful, a little bit successful, how you define that. But my passion is really to help you to unlock all of your potential so that you can truly be yourself and create the life that you truly desire. And step into the frequency of abundance, love, success, friendship, anything that you truly want. So this podcast is here because I wanted to share as many stories as possible of people that have decided at some point to trust their intuition and really change their life. So you're going to hear all kinds of story, people that have gone through really traumatic experiences in their life, painful ones, some that actually didn't have that much of a challenge, but still they had to come out of the closet, as they say, to show the people that they were a spiritual being and they could actually create a life that was different from the path they had started with. This podcast is here to inspire you, to help you to get clarity, to take action. And I hope you find some help in here, either with the stories that I'm going to share or with the stories that my guests are going to share. Time to dive into the new episode. Enjoy it. Hello, and welcome back to Intuitive Queens podcast from your Intuition Queen. So today's topic, it's something that I was not expecting of talking. I was not really planning on talking about, but I realized that my personal concerns about the online space and how people connect to one another those days are not just my concerns. If you've been listening to me before, you might have heard me complaining a little bit about how connections have become very transactional and how so many people just try to pitch whatever it is that they're selling without really trying to get a connection. So this has been an annoyance of mine this year. And when I recorded last week's episode about meaningful connection, I really just wanted to put out there the energy of helping people to create meaningful connections, because it's something that I crave. It's something that I feel it's very important to me, but it's also something that this year particularly I had conversations with clients and friends and other fellow entrepreneurs that seem to have the same feelings that I have about how difficult it seems to be to create some meaningful connections, or how collaborations are so transactional. There is no longer the desire to actually learn to understand who you have in front of you, especially for people like me that have been in business for a while. There's been an energetic shift that I actually want to talk about, because I recorded last week's episode about a month ago or something like that, out of my frustration without really sharing what my frustration was, but just giving you tips on how to create meaningful connections. And in the meantime, I went to a couple of seminars and events, business events, events to help your business grow. And I love to go to those events that are 1, 2, 3 days long, because it's a great opportunity to network and to meet new people. Particularly for me, the point is to meet people that actually live in London so that I can connect and recreate a networking of people where I could maybe collaborate, but also just become friends and go for a beer, for a drink, for something to eat, for something. Because if you've been following me, you know that since I moved back to Italy and then came back, all of the friendships that I used to have and the connections that I used to have are no longer here. Some because I have also left the UK, and some because we're not a match to the person that I am now. And I purposely decided not to get in touch with some people that I left when I moved out of the UK. So my desire to want to have physical connections and actually see people, because we've all gone so much online that I have friends all over the world, and I'm like, I wish you were here and we could just decide to go out for a day and just talk and talk and talk, rather than see each other on a screen and have like maybe an hour or two where we can briefly talk about something and then we need to go on with our lives. So this is where I was coming from when I recorded the episode 108, where I talk about how to create meaningful connections. But things have developed, and like you always do when you share your concerns and they are aligned to you, people that are aligned to what you're thinking and what you're feeling will come to you. What are you really asking about it? So as I said, I went to a couple of events, and I had people reach out to me, or clients, or just fellow entrepreneurs and fellow coaches. My group of people that are a little bit around the world, and I have a lot of connections, a little bit here and there. And I don't necessarily talk to those people every week, but we do share stuff. And it was amazing to just get people to come to me and be like, oh, I've been feeling like this. And I'm like, oh my God. And so that has sparked even more desire to talk about this and create something that actually reflects the good part of what I am about to talk about. So this is where this episode is coming from. So it's a little bit put together very quickly. But I really want to talk about this. So I started my coaching business in 2019. And for some of you that don't know my story, I started studying to become a coach in 2017. And I signed up to the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, which is an Australian academy. And obviously, it was online. I was here in London. I was still working full time. And in itself, that academy helped me to connect with amazing people and fellow coaches or other women that were going through the desire of becoming a coach. So from there, I started to create a tiny little mini community of people that eventually will end up doing what I wanted to do. And that was already just a beautiful thing, feeling supported and feeling you could talk to about anything related to self-development and coaching with people that were actually going through the same process that you were going through, because you could talk about different modules and how you felt about certain things and all of that. So that in itself made me feel very connected, very like I found a place where I belonged. However, once the course ended, like it always happened, you click with some people and you don't click with some others. So you stay more in touch with some people and less in touch with others until you lose track of some people, and maybe you keep those connections that felt more aligned to you. And this is what happened to me. Fast forward to the year after, and I went to Jack Canfield's seminar, the Breakthrough to Success, which was a week-long seminar, and I connected to even more people. And when you go to in-person event, there is a deeper way of connecting. Also, because especially when you're doing seminars that are a week long, things like that, you're always there for a week. You spend a lot of time together. You get to do a lot of different exercises together. So that helps you to get to know the person you have in front of you. You might go for dinner and all those things. So you create a bond that is a little bit more, it's quicker and it's deeper than when you create online connections, because online you always have to, we're all also busy, but once you're there for that reason. And so you connect on that level. And from that, I then eventually, the year after 2019, started my business, started working with a coach, signed up for a mastermind, and those connections became even more, even bigger, more aligned to what I was doing. And what I felt was happening, I also started my podcast, and what I felt was happening was that every time I was connecting to someone new, there was a curiosity to understand who was on the other side, from my side, but also from people that were connecting with me. One of the reasons why people would connect with me, particularly at the time through Facebook, was because maybe they could see I had been to a seminar they had been to. I knew someone they knew. You know how it works. Or through the podcast, because maybe I had that person. And what I remember from that moment was there was a desire to connect. And of course, we're all here to sell to other people. We're all here because we want more clients. We're here because we want to find a collaboration, whatever that could be. But what I realized is that people were actually making an effort to get to know the other person first. And then eventually there will be a sales pitch, but not all of the times and not always that quickly. And of course, for someone that starts a business, is in business, you know how it is. Like, of course, we all kind of want something from one another, but there was this deep desire to, okay, let's create something. This was is and was my perception, of course. Now what happened? So I was working with Zoom, and I was having clients via Zoom from 2019, towards the end of 2019, because by the time I learned how to do all of the things, I got to the end of 2019, and I started Intuitive Queens podcast in September 19. And I started to interview as many people as possible because nobody knew who I was. And I personally didn't think I knew enough, although my coach was like, Marna, you know way more than enough. But you know how it is when you start a business, especially when you've never done this before. And so this was the panorama of the 2019, and 2020 was also very similar. But of course, 2020 was the year of the pandemic, and everybody started to be online. Everybody started to stay home, and everybody started to think about what else you could do, which became even more so when people started to be called back to go work in the office. A lot of the people that I have talked to since, some have been my clients, have used the pandemic as a way to start their own business. Some because they have been thinking about it for a long time, some because they they lost their job, some because they didn't want to, they realized how they could actually, how they felt better, how they could manage their lives better, and how better it was to simply work from home and not having to commute, and being able to do laundry or other stuff when you're actually also working from home. So we know the everything has shifted, although nowadays a lot of people have been recalled back to the office, and there is a lot of resistance to go back to the office. I don't want to work 5 days and all of that for the ones that are still working in corporate. So the pandemic has helped a lot of people to decide to actually start a business, push through the business, bring their business online. We have all been forced to do that, even the ones that didn't have that in mind. The online space has grown and grown and grown, because of as a consequence of what the pandemic meant for all of us. And that's amazing because, as I always say, when there is something negative happening, there is always also something positive happen. So for a lot of people, of course, the pandemic was hopeful, but for a lot of people, this was the best thing that happened to them because it helped them start a business, bring their business to a higher level. For me, that was the same. That year, I built this podcast, and from being nobody, I started to be someone, and I started to have clients coming through the podcast, which for me was like, oh my God, like, so everything felt so much easier. Social media worked in a different way, and everything felt more as if we were all trying to connect and help one another. And I'm telling you this not because it's just my perception, how things have been, but because I've been speaking, as I said, with a lot of people, and a lot of people have been saying the same thing. Now, what happened is that while the pandemic has helped a lot of people to actually start a business, go online, turn their business upside down, whatever has happened, a lot of people have started to be online. So the online space has become very populated by a lot of people. As a contrast to that, one of the things that has happened, less people have been wanting to go out there in person and do stuff in person. One of the things that I hear so much is the disconnection and the isolation that a lot of people are feeling because everything is done online, but the online connection right now are no longer connections that have a meaning. And I am sure like those have always been there, but personally I feel that now it's like everyone it's like that, and there's like higher end of the spectrum of people contacting you and not even caring about who you are, just, hey, I saw your comment here, hey, I saw you do this here, this is what I sell, I'd love for you to book a call with me. And I'm like, so a lot of people be complaining to me about this, and this is like every time I get a call like this or I get a message like this, I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks, I don't need anything. One of the things that I really resonate with is what my coach, Jake Valentine, used to say to me. You need to share your expertise because people buy from someone they like and trust. And if you don't build a connection, they don't know who you are, they cannot like you, and they cannot trust you. And I truly, truly believe in this. I truly believe that if you like someone, you also want to learn more about this person, and then you start to trust based on what they say, because what they say resonates with what you're going through, and so you feel like that person is hitting the right point. So you're like, oh, this person seems to know the things that I want to learn about, seems to be able to help me in this situation. And so then, of course, you buy. And then there are different kind of buyers. There are people that just buy, and they might buy a high ticket, a high service, or people that buy something small to see the value of it and then eventually invest more. People that follow for a long time. I mean, it's up to you. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends how much you can invest. It depends how long you want to invest for. If you feel like that something quick will work better for you for the time being, whatever that is. But the point is that you don't buy from people that you don't know. It's like when you go, I don't know, let's say, and I'm going to talk about the hairdresser because I need to go to my hairdresser, but you go to a hairdresser and that person makes gives you the wrong color, gives you the wrong haircut, and maybe you just moved to a place and you don't know where to go, so you need to try until you find someone that actually does your hair in the way you want to, and you're gonna stick to that hairdresser. Especially for us women, I used to have curly hair. Now that I am in perimenopause, hair is gone, I don't know where. And one of the issues for me when I moved here was finding a hairdresser that was able to treat and cut properly curly hair, because a lot of people here have straight hair. So the hairdressers that I tried to go to at the beginning were not able to cut my hair, and I would look like a lion, which I hated. And so I will go back to Italy to cut my hair until I meet someone here. My hairdresser is Italian, that cut my hair perfectly, is able to do my color, and my hair always used to look amazing. Now no longer, but also I need him. So but just to say, you need to find someone that does things the way you want to, and you need to find someone that you trust. And this behavior of, checking someone out, we now look at the reviews, for example. If you want to go to a specific restaurant, you go look at the review. If you want to if you need to book a hotel room, you go check the reviews. We need to have something that gives that feeling that, okay, this is the right place, this is the right person. And the same goes for the online space. Like, you want to invest in someone that has what you have, but sometimes you need to get to know this person first. Thinking about this way of doing things, I know for me, I used to go to events, and one of the things that I really loved was that people seemed to be interested in where I was at, what I was doing. And I remember I just really loved going, I always loved going to events because I love meeting new people and connecting to people. Um, but I remember that I used to have very long conversations with people. I'm a chatty box if I start and if I connect to the right people. And what I felt was that people seem to be more interested in what you were doing. Then, of course, you exchange business cards, and then you're like, oh, maybe we can have a chat. And eventually, you'll get to a point where someone is selling something to you. And I bought things from people that I met before. When I started working with my first coach, well, he was the second coach. First coach was a disaster. But when I started working with this coach, I met him when I was in the States for the Jack Canfield seminar. And we had a quick chat about it because it was the last day and I hadn't met him before. He invited me over to his Facebook group. I went in and I started to see what he was talking about, and I started um, to hear what he had to say, and I kind of liked him. I liked the way he was handling the Facebook group at the time. And when I had a problem with the coach that I was using at the time, I messaged him because I had no idea what are people to message, because I was so new. And I messaged him because I had met him. I had talked to him I liked the first interaction with him. I then continued to like the interactions that I was having through his Facebook group. So I messaged him. I was like, look, this is what happening. I don't know who to talk to. You are a coach. I need a coach. This is happening with my current coach. What do I do? And he helped me, and I ended up working with him because he gave me value in a situation that was really critical for me, but I already liked him. And so it's been for me for a lot of the things that I've invested in. I always invested in people that I spend some time, get to know, even if it was not on a personal level. But I will try to be seen by those people so that once I invested, they would be also like, oh, hey, oh, yeah, no, I remember this. Oh, yeah, you bought this, oh, you bought that. There was a recognition, there was an understanding, there was like an attention. And this is what creates bonds with people. I'm still in touch with a lot of the people that I worked with when I started, that I connected with when I started, that I connected with through the podcast. Not everybody, obviously, but there's been that deep, meaningful connection that has continued over time. What is happening now, and what I have personally seen a lot, but also a lot of people have talked to me about, is that you get tons of messages through whatever social media you are on, saying, "Hey, I like what you do. I like what you do here. I saw that your website doesn't have this. I saw that your social media doesn't have this. I saw that you don't have this. Here, this is what I do. Book a call with me." And I'm like, and who are you? Hi, how are you? Uh, I like this about your website. I like this about your podcast. I love when people message me to say, I like your podcast. And they clearly don't know what my podcast is about because they pitch something that has nothing to do with what this podcast is about. And that's when I'm going to be like, no, sorry, you can't be a guest on my podcast. There is a urgency to be visible. Like every coach, every business coach will tell you to be visible, to create a lead magnet, to connect to people, to connect to your leads, to follow up on your leads, to follow up to the people that have subscribed to your email list, because if you do it 6 months afterwards, they won't get upset. I get mad when I get contacted by people that I have unsubscribed from, because if I do unsubscribe, it means I'm no longer interested in what you have to offer. Maybe I was 2 years ago, no longer now. If you get in touch with me after I have unsubscribed, aside from the GDPR law that you're breaking, I get mad. So if there was a chance that I could get back to you, I won't. But this is just me. But what I've realized and what people have told me is that there is such a urgency. There is such a lack mindset. To me, this is stemming from a saturation of the online space, because now everybody is online. Everybody is talking about making money, making millions, making this and making that, and everybody is feeling this is possible, which is amazing because it is possible. But it's not a quick fix. Like, you don't go to 0 to 1,000 in the space of a few months. Maybe some people do, maybe, people get viral, but it's not the average of people. And lacking the connections, it's one of the reasons why you're not going anywhere. And one of the reasons why people are starting to be fed up. Like, I get, like in the last month or so, I received so many complaints from people being like, I am so tired of people trying to push you to spend money on their business with the fear mindset that if you don't invest in this, that's what you're losing. That is the reason why, which is words that I use at the same time, but it's the way you talk to people that makes a difference. I never push my clients to invest in me. Every time they're like, I would like to work with you, but I don't have the money to do it. I always say, look, if this is something important for you, you find the money. I am always here. And what happens is that they find the money. Maybe 2-3 months down the line, but they find the money because what happens is they feel that I am not pushing them. So they know how much they need to invest and they save. They make more money. I don't know, but they come back and they're like, can I now work with you? But there is a willingness to want to do the work. And there is an understanding of the expense that you need to have. But also there is a safety in feeling that the other person is not pushing you to spend money you don't have. Because one of the biggest reasons people fail is because they get crazy, because once you have invested money that you don't have in someone that has promised you that you're going to make that money and double at the end of the program, you don't make that money, you don't make double because you don't even make half of that money back. That's when all your problems starts. And that's when you need to find a job. That's when you start to be resentful to yourself, to the person you invested money in, and it creates that lack energy all around because you invested in someone that didn't give you the space to understand that investing money you didn't have, particularly for you, wasn't a good thing. Because your money issues, for all of us, and I've gone through this, and I'm telling you this because I've gone through this, your money issues come from a deep feeling of not feeling worthy and a lot of other things that I don't want to talk about today because I'm not talking about this. But money issues come from a lot of healing that you need to do on yourself, your perceived self, your inner child, your environment, your parents, and a lot of other things. Because we all have patterns, we all have limitations, we all have limiting beliefs, and we all have traumas. Bigger or small, it doesn't matter. But something affects us on a subconscious level. And when you have just about the right amount of money or not enough money, you put everything on a credit cards and those money don't come back to you, you know you made the wrong decision, you trusted the wrong person. And often this is because people push you and make you feel like life is ending tomorrow if you don't do this. And it's where we are going at. Everything has become transactional. I keep meeting people that don't even let you speak. One of the things that I was talking about is like, I am a great listener, obviously, because of what I do, but I always been. And one of the things that for me is important, and I realized it is for all of the people that I talk to, is learning to understand more about the other person and having the possibility to share what's going on with you. So when you meet someone that is online or that is offline, get to know the person instead of just shoving out, oh, give me your phone number, give me your, and then start sending messages about your offers, your workshops, your whatever, to someone you didn't even have the time to talk to because all you did was say your name, say what you do, promote your offer, and then fuck off. How am I going to spend money? I am not spending money on anybody that doesn't take the time to create some sort of connections with me, and that eventually follows up on that if there is an interest from my side. Because if you're selling something that I tell you straight away I'm not interested in, yeah, you can follow up with me, but if I say no, it's a no. So stop following up with me. That's the way I see it, because I think that right now the message is always the same: just push, just push. And in this hustle culture, I did not and never agreed on, because I personally think that once you learn to understand your energy, and there is a balance where we need to use our masculine and feminine energy, and everything comes to place. But also, the pushing culture, the hustle culture, doesn't work for everybody. And certainly it doesn't work to create meaningful connections. So, what has this created is more loneliness for all of the people that don't have a lot of money to invest. I've had sessions with a client that had just become a mom, and she had a successful copyright business. Then she got pregnant, and she then eventually had the child. And after she had the child, she thought that she could easily, well, not easily, but she could slowly go back to work on her business as she was doing before the child. The reality is that she realized that it wasn't that easy, and she hadn't taken into account all of the changes that a woman goes through on a physical level, on a mental level, on a hormonal level, on an energy level, just talking about herself. And then how your routine has to change, because you're no longer the one deciding when to do something. You have to wait for your child to decide if it wants to sleep or not. And if your child doesn't want to sleep, you have to take care of your child. There is no other way around it, unless you have someone that can help you. But a lot of people don't have this. And so she felt really alone, because um, she didn't have enough entrepreneurs friends that understood what she was going through. She didn't have enough moms friends. She didn't have a community that was able to give her some sort of advice and tips. Everything that she could do was just buy a session. And it just broke my heart, because it's like, I understand that, because I've been in that situation where I didn't have enough money to invest in a coach, in a program, and all I wanted was someone to be able to tell me, why don't you do this? What about this? Why don't you go listen to this podcast? Why don't you check this video? And that will be enough to get me going to the next point, to the next part. I had a client that had to go look for a full-time job because she was alone. She did things that maybe were necessarily a necessity for her business. And so she got lost into it. She spent a lot of money investing in a session here, in a session there, and nothing happened. And she was frustrated because she felt like a failure. And we worked on a lot of energy healing and a lot of stuff. And her complaint was again the same, like, I wish I had someone to talk to. uh, there are so many examples that I can give to you, and maybe this is happening to you. My feeling, which has been shared lately by a lot of people, is that there is no longer attention to people that either start a business, that start a business and have to start over, to people that maybe been in business for a long time, but they haven't thought about leveling up. And so they're kind of in the same situation. You're either starting out and having to invest shitloads of money to make your business go, or you're at the top. And the conversations that I'm hearing, it's all about how to create a high ticket offer. And I'm like, but you can't sell a high ticket offer if nobody knows who you are. You don't have a community. And you can create whatever lead magnets you want, but if you don't have the right people following you, nothing's going to happen. So all of those people are falling back to me. And I've been having conversations and sessions with clients that have told me this is what's happening and this is what is frustrating them. And a lot of them have gone back to corporate. And one thing that I want to say, if you need to go back to corporate because you need to feel safe with money, please do it. There is nothing wrong in doing something like that, taking a pause from your business or working on your business part-time because you need to do that. I've done that. And it's important for you to feel safe. And it's important for you to enjoy what you're doing. And oftentimes what happens is that when you don't have a community of people that you can ask questions to without having to be sold something, and when you are not making enough money, you also cannot enjoy it because you cannot go on holiday, take a day off, because if you take a day off, you feel like you're not doing enough and therefore you're not making money. You cannot go to, I don't know, dinner with your friends because you're thinking about your money. And that is what makes you energetically rejecting money coming through, because your lack of joy and your focus on worry and on doing and on hustling and on figuring out is what is keeping opportunities and your clients away from you. When I came back from Italy, I looked for a job because it was the easiest way for me to also rent a place. And also, I came back not with that much money because when I was in Italy, I had to work on myself and I couldn't work with I didn't have that many clients. Like everything shifted as I moved to Italy. And I know I talked about this before. Everything that happened had to happen for a reason. What actually happened was that I obviously kind of paused my business because I moved here. I lived for 2.5 months in my friend's house, and I am grateful for him for bearing with me for so long, because there was no way for me to find a place, because September 2022 was the moment where everybody moved back to London after the pandemic. And so impossible to find even a room that wasn't crazy expensive, because there was such a high demand that prices were out of their mind. 2.5 months, moved into whatever I found, even if it wasn't what I wanted, but as long as I had a space and I gave space to my friend. And then eventually I hated that place. Eventually I moved into my new flat, and I wasn't doing any work. I was working with my clients, the one that I already had, and that was it. I wasn't promoting my business. I wasn't working on my podcast. I was doing nothing. But I was meeting people and I was talking about what I do, because I would give out my business cards anyway. And in doing that, people would hear me talking and would be more interested. And so then I would have a question asked, and then they would reach out a little bit later asking me more questions. And I created a relationship to a point where eventually they invested in a program with me. Some of them invested in a session. That session was enough for them to feel that I was the right person to get them to move forward in their healing. And to me, that was like a little bit like a surprise, because I didn't expect it. And the reason why it happened is because I had no expectations, because I had a salary and I knew it was a temporary situation. So if you're going through this because you feel like you have screwed up, you have invested too much money in something that you didn't need, you have invested money in things that didn't make the same return, whatever your situation, life happened, make sure you feel safe. with your money and then invest. But as you do that, make sure you also connect to people that are meaningful to you. Connect to people that are like-minded, and stay away from people that are transactionals, because someone that come to you just to sell you something won't buy from you, even if that person is potentially a client, because they don't care about you. What they care is for you to buy from them. That's it. I was at this event and there was this speaker that was talking about the importance of the impression that you make in like 15 seconds, I think it was. And she was talking about whatever. And at the end of the talk, she said, if you go to events, stop wasting your time with people that don't buy from you. If they want to buy from you, then that's the people you need to connect to. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. And to me, it was like, this is so against what I've been talking about, and what I've been hearing is everybody's concern. So some people will do that. And it's a choice that you have to have. It's either, do you want to create a community so that if you need something, someone will help you? One of my friends has been in business for 20 years. She left her, she worked for a company for 20 years. She left to go traveling. The pandemic hit. She didn't do what she wanted to do, so she had to go look for a job. And the crazy thing was that recruiters told her that she couldn't do some of the things that she used to do because she had been too much out of the business, of the environment. I'm like, yeah, pandemic, hello. And it drives me mad, because when you have a community, there is always someone that can give you an advice, that can help you with something, that knows someone that might look for someone like you. So thinking about this has been in my mind for so long. And now, because everybody seems to be fed up with the quick fix and the transactional connection and the I sell you something but don't sell it to me, and or if you don't make this much money, if you don't have this many followers, you are nothing. I'm tired of this bullshit. If you feel that right now for you, it's impossible to make connections that are meaningful and that go beyond wanting to sell you something. If you feel like that, if you had a community, you could grow better. Because to me, having a community also means being able to rely on people that can actually help you, keep you accountable, give you advice that might be what you need to take a step forward, whatever that is. If you are here and this me rambling today made sense for you, and you're looking to connect to a community that is heart-centered, that is about helping each other out, collaborating, getting to know each other, and helping one another, and eventually have business with whoever you are connecting with, you are in the right place. And I would ask you to share this with anybody that is feeling in the same way, because I am tired of connecting to communities that they say it's a community where they do what I just said I want to do, and then it's nothing like that. And it's all people selling you with zero intention to want to get to know you. So I want to change the game here, and I want to change the game in a way where we are all winning and we are all moving towards whatever abundance means for us. Maybe abundance for you means having someone that can help you with one thing. For you, abundance means having a community. for you abundance means, I don't know, but everybody has a different way of talking about abundance. My intention is to create a community that is where the heart is at the center of the connections, where the connections are meaningful, where the intention is to get to know the person you have in front of you, and then eventually to offer what you have and help how you can. I want a community where you can feel safe to share what's going on with you without being bombarded by sales pitches, but where you can actually receive some good advice. I believe that the more you share, the more you give, the more you get. I truly believe that. And that doesn't mean that you have to give everything away for free. I do not believe that. But I do believe that when you desire something that has a deep meaning, and it's not just for yourself, but it's for the collective, what you put out there comes back to you. I truly believe this. Like, for me, there is a need to be authentic. And I encourage you to have a look at your journey, that you start in a business, you want to start a business, whatever, wherever you're at. But even if you have a successful business, I encourage you to start looking at your journey and really ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Or why do you want to start this? What is the purpose of that? Is that because you want to feel better about yourself? Is that because you want to create a better life for you and your family? Is that because you want to help people? Or is that because you want to just make a lot of money? Because the way you respond to this question makes a difference, and it's a reflection of your connections. So if you resonated with anything that I said today, and you're looking to connect to a community of heart-centered, like-minded business owners, and you want to share your story and you want to help other people, I want to invite you to the Authentic Business Collective. There is a link in the show notes and in the description box. You just have to click on it and put on your details, and I will let you know when this is going to go live. I am still working on it because I want to make this the right space for everybody. And this has been such a thing that I had in mind for a long time, but only recently this desire became such a strong pulse that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get out there and talk about it. And I created a link. If you are interested, just sign up, and I won't spam you with emails. Just sign up, and as soon as we go live, you will be the first one to know, and you will get all the details of what that entails. What I want to create is something where we get to learn from each other, we get to know each other, and we work with one another, and where there is a true connection because we're all being authentic in sharing and giving and receiving, basically. There's nothing else I want to tell you because I am still putting it together. But if this has resonated with you and you know someone that will love that, please share this episode with them. Share the link to sign up. It's going to be a community online and offline. If you are in London, there are going to be in-person events. And if you're not in London, there are going to be online events. And I want to make them important and specific to networking, connecting to different people in the most beautiful way possible and in the most helpful way possible for each and every one of us. And we're all here to have a business. We're all here to grow our business. We're all here to grow. But the point for me is that maybe you meet someone for a business reason, and that person becomes your friend, becomes your business partner, becomes someone you work with, becomes anything else. I am here to build better human connections because I think that we have lost track of what it means to love, to collaborate, to help, to share. And we just got into the sales pitch mentality, scarcity mentality. Abundance for me, it's not about talking about luck and pushing fears around. Abundance for me is feeling good with yourself, being authentic and sharing from your heart. That is what abundance is. And when you do that, people will feel it and will see it. And that's when clients, money, and whatever opportunity you're looking for are going to come back to you. So thank you so much for listening and for watching. If you want more question, if you have questions and you want to learn more, feel free to send me a message on Instagram at the Intuition Queen. Ask me whatever question you have. And if I do have an answer, I will give it to you. But as I said, I'm still building this up and I want to make it as great as possible. So, and also I'm thinking about timing. Probably this is going to be out there in 2025, but maybe not. So with me, you never know. So if you have questions, do feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, sign up to the link that it's in the show notes. And that's just for me to know that you are interested and you want this kind of authentic business collective and that you want to be part of it and you're looking to get that kind of connections. And I will give you details and we'll send you some information, and most probably we'll also send you a survey to a few questions to respond to. But please share this episode with anyone that is looking for something like that, because I would really appreciate it if this could become something important and bigger, where the core is helping one another and helping each other grow and grow in abundance and not in scarcity and not in fear. All right. You can also find me on my website, theintuitionqueen.com. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for listening, for watching, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.
Give it all you got.